Okay, now we're going to just look at the Crabel sheet. And I'm just showing it again for, and as you can tell, day trade, next close. I mean, basically on the indexes it does okay. But what we're going to see here is that when we trade it as a system, where there's effect of the expanding volatility off an entry, so we have 3 or 4 days of expanding volatility in our direction, that makes the results much better. Because this wouldn't impress me if I'm just testing the pattern. How many of you have tested patterns as not part of a system to say, I'm going to enter here and I'm just going to arbitrarily exit the next day's close? Guess what? You might have thrown away stuff that made a couple $100 a trade that might have actually been part of a system that would have averaged $800 or $900 a trade. Not understanding the point that we're going to be making here. Okay, next. And this is what I was talking about. What we did here is we now took these concepts and we're going to build actual trading systems with them. Can you back up 1 second, Keith? So instead of using arbitrary exits, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to have a stop and reverse system. So all these systems are either long or short, no stops. Second, we're going to add a filter. It's the open minus close filter. Now, markets, by nature, go against intuition, because the markets are a mechanism for taking money from 95% of the people and giving it to the other 5. So what we found is that it's more bullish. If the market closes lower than it opened, that's bullish. When the market closes higher than it opens, that's bearish. Because the amateurs are going to see an up day and want to go long, and a down day and get scared and sell their stocks. Or sell whatever market they're in. So it's a counter trend basis. Okay. So here's our first system. I call it Qqq Breakout. This is actually a free system that comes with Trader Studio that we trade the triple Qs with. And you can see Trader Studio code. It looks a lot like TradeStation. You know, close minus open. The only difference is you put little braces around the buys and the sells. We have a next open. So I'm saying, now remember, the next open command, if you're doing back testing and looking at tomorrow's open, that's only for back testing purposes. So in the last bar, so you can have orders for tomorrow, we just set the value of next open to 0. So in the active order report, you get your orders by just looking at the offset from the open. But it's a very simple system. Close is greater than open, we're going to sell. When the close is less than open, we're going to be buying at some multiplier from the 3-day true range. Not the average true range, but just the true range. Okay, next. Okay, we're going to be testing these on baskets of futures. We're going to use no slippage and commission because we just want to show the bias. Later, when we're doing equities, we're actually going to include slippage and commission in the stock examples. But I just want to show you the bias here. We're going to use 30% of the true range with that filter, the system we just showed. Okay. And we only optimized a few parameters here, but this is an optimization report from Trader Studio. This got exported. So in Trader Studio, it has a built-in spreadsheet. You just hit an export button and type the file name, and now you have an Excel file. The real Trader Studio report, you can actually sort by the columns. But the sort button isn't there because this is an exported one. So we were able to optimize here 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4. You can see we made over $3 million on that entire basket. How many of you use TradeStation? How many of you say, I've got 20 markets I'm following. I wish I could find out how much the system, when I change the parameters, makes over the whole basket. What's the best parameter for all 10 markets? Right? Well, here, all you do is you select the markets, and you run the optimize, and you actually get the optimal. You can optimize across the basket, just in a couple of mouse clicks. And you can see that you can't accuse me of curve fitting because we've got 22,000 trades testing like this. We have one parameter and 22,000 trades. Does that sound like it should be robust? Next.
What's your data set for that?
That
What period of time?
1980 to like last week. Okay, this is the basket results that comes out of Trader Studio, 3.3 million, 22,000 and change trades, $148 a trade across the basket. But that includes things like corn and cotton, where you're not going to make, corn, you can't expect on a 2-day trade to make even $150 a trade. So that brings the average down, having those types of markets in here. Calculates the max interbar drawdown across the basket. And all you do is you pull. You can look at each individual market by just clicking on a pull down, or you can look at the consolidated markets by hitting a pull down. So you can analyze all that stuff. Okay, that's basically it for that. Okay, then we have an annual. There's a lot of other reports, but now I'll show you the annual report. You can see across the basket, this is very consistent. Simple, very simple opening range breakout system. It made $86,000 this year, $147,000 the year before, $150,000, $334,000, $821,000. Winning percentages are right around 50%. Okay. All right, let's look at some highlight markets. Let's go to the videotape, as they say. Okay, this is natural gas, right? No, this is NASDAQ. $1,100 a trade on the NASDAQ. Max drawdown $65,000. Makes $937,000. Now, how many of you have been playing with trying to make a NASDAQ index system? So think about that. On a mini, that's 1/5 of that. That's $200 a trade. Does that sound too bad for a free system? And with one parameter, I'm sure you could add some filters to it and make it even better. Doesn't that sound like a good starting point?
And this is you sell if the close was greater than yesterday's open.
You're going to sell if the close is greater than yesterday's open. You're going to sell on an opening range breakout. If the close is less than the open, you're going to buy on an opening range breakout. Okay, let's just look at another great example here.
Murray, what was the probability of success on that trade?
67%.
67%? Was that across all markets or just NASDAQ?
No, just NASDAQ. It's like a 50%, it's a little less than 50% across everything.
How do you
57%.
how do you handle your exit strategy?
You don't. Stop and reverse. Use a long or a short. These are very primitive systems. The point I'm making here is we've got one parameter, 20,000 trades. We optimized it across all the parameters. So our degrees of freedom, I mean, there's no way that this doesn't pass any statistical test at the 99.999% confidence level.
That's very robust, clearly. But on the NASDAQ, though, that's 67%.
57.
57.
Right. Yeah. Oh, let's look at natural gas. $329 a trade, but big number. Remember, this has only been trading since 1991. So you're basically making about $38,000 a year on natural gas with a 20K drawdown.
What opening account size are you using for those?
Well, we're just basically playing with how the system performs without slippage and commission, so we don't really have an account size that we're going. I mean, the max drawdown, figure on a mini, with a max drawdown of 65K, it's going to be about 22K. So you need like maybe a $50,000 contract to trade at NASDAQ. At least. On a mini. Okay. S&P, $295 a trade, $685,000, $30,000 drawdown. Remember, this is a very simple system. There's no fancy parameters. There's no curve fit. I mean, think about if you're playing with patterns, how long you'd have to play with to come up with these kind of numbers.
This one's only got 6K on it.
Right. This is 6K, so you could trade with 20K account.
So you don't have stop You just close at the close of the market.
No, you stop him. It's a reversal system. So you're in for an average of 4 days, 3 to 4 days. You're holding overnight.
But you don't have stop loss.
No. Well, these are primitive. What I didn't want to do is I did not want to change the statistics of the system by putting in things that make it tradable. I wanted to show the raw concept, how it worked. Just on a buy, on the Trader Studio website, we have forums. So if after you guys have questions, I'm a moderator up there. You can go into the forum that I have for my articles, for futures articles, and put questions up on the forums. You have to register though, and I'll be happy to answer questions. Traders with an S studio.com. I've got brochures for Trader Studio here, and that's got the website information. It's 2 S's. Traders with an S and then studio.com. Okay, now we're going to do Sheldon Knight's variation of this. Same logic. Same system, just different offset. We're do an optimize again. And as you can see, there's a peak here at 0.2 that produces about $3 million. But the point is, how long has anyone ever tried to do this in TradeStation, to take a basket of like 20 markets and do an optimization and figure out where the optimal set of parameters is across the basket? Well, you do it in 3 mouse clicks with Trader Studio. In fact, later on, after the meeting, I'll demo it on my laptop if anyone's interested. Okay. All right, here's our summary sheet. Again, about 75K drawdown across the basket. So it's got less it makes less money, but the drawdown's a little bit lower on the basket. And the annuals reports. It's made 69K. It lost some money in 2003. This is basically, because we're using the channel width, this is more sensitive to having longer trends, because we're using the width of the channel, because we're trying to filter noise out. So if you have markets that don't hold trends, the system doesn't do as well, which is why 2003 was a problem. Okay, next. Now we have Tony Crabel's pattern. We're calling this noise, which is the minimum of the high minus the open and the open minus the low. Same system, except we take 1.1 times the 10-day average. Now, how many of you actually write systems in TradeStation? Does this language look similar to TradeStation? Well, I'll tell you something. How much of you have lots of code of TradeStation you'd never want to give up because you spent too much time on it? What would you say if I told you, with 2 mouse clicks, you could run 95% of your TradeStation code in this product? It translates to TradeStation. Okay, next. Okay, let's look at the Crabel. Okay, so Crabel's makes more than everything so far. You know, I'm real happy I spent the time and actually read every paragraph in the book. $3.6 million, 26,000 trades, $86,000 drawdown, about $130 a trade. Winning percentage is about 54%. But 3.6 million, now when you think about what you could do in terms of adding filters, you know, when you're starting with those kind of numbers and those kind of trades. Okay.
I have one more quick question.
Yeah.
With his thing, it's similar to the Larry Williams greatest swing value thing, right? You know what I'm talking about, where he did the same thing where there was I think it's a retracement, and he takes a 4-day average of the last. No,
well, he's actually summing up the event of each day versus the value over the period. If I'm right about what Larry's doing with the swings.
Okay.
I don't think he's taking each day.
Okay.
I think Larry's taking it from the period. It's like the swing over a few day period versus.
That's correct.
Versus where this is a daily addition. Okay. Natural gas, $256 a trade, 18K drawdown, 411 grand. I mean, it's a very volatile market, but as you can see, it works fairly well. Here's the equity curve for the Crabel system. Once again, I did this in Trader Studio. Now, is that bad for a free system? Looks like a good equity curve.